Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed, and I'm going to be your host today for today's session of iPIP. Just before we go to the details of the session, I just want to kick off our iPIP YouTube video to help is our agenda and what is our priorities and tenets.
An open access platform for present and future Irish Pakistani ICT professionals. Professional and social networking. Information and training seminars. Career guidance events. Upskilling sessions. Community get-togethers. Irish Pakistani ICT professionals. Join us, guide us, contribute and play your role in this community building project. iPIP, Irish Pakistani ICT professionals.
All right, thanks so much. Now we go to our main agenda, and the topic that we have selected today is based on the feedback from the iPIP community. The topic is how to get into the PhD in Ireland and excel in the IT R&D field. And I'm super excited that we had invited, Dr. Mubashir Rehmani into our, iPIP community, and he has accepted and he has given us the time. So we will be spending, today's session with Dr. Mubashir so that he can guide us about the insights of getting into the PhD and how to excel in the IT R&D field. Before we go further, I just want to encourage everybody to please, ask the questions if you have, and we are looking forward for an, engaging, session. We will have a slot at the end for only, the questions that you may have for Dr. Mubashir. But if in the middle of the session, if you have any questions, please, post in the chat. We will try our best to, take up the questions in the middle as well. So I'm joined by Ehsan Elahi, who is also the iPIP, member, and Ehsan is the co-host with me. Before I go further, I will ask Ehsan to please introduce our guest, Dr. Mubashir. Over to you, Ehsan.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. And thank you very much, Dr. Mubashir Rehmani, for spending time today. Dr. Mubashir Hussain Rehmani has received his Bachelor of Engineering degree in Computer Science, Computer Systems Engineering from Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, Jamshoro, Pakistan in 2004. And MS degree from University of Paris, Le Mans, Paris, France in 2008. And the PhD degree from University of Pierre and Marie Curie, Paris in 2011. He is currently working as assistant lecturer in the Department of Computer Science, Munster Technological University, Ireland. Prior to this, he worked as postdoctoral researcher at Telecommunication Software and Systems Group, Waterford. So now this Telecommunication Systems and Software and Systems Group has become Walton Institute in Waterford Institute of Technology, Waterford, Ireland. So I have the honor to work with Dr. Mubashir Rehmani for a couple of years at TSSG, now Walton Institute. I will keep on introducing Dr. Mubashir when further we ask questions, and I'll share further details about the research achievements of Dr. Mubashir and the awards he have already Juan, as the time passes and as we go through the questions. Over to you, Ahmed. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Folks, we had a lot of content when we were thinking to, like introduce, Dr. Mubashir, but there's a lot of content that we may share, later on. His achievements, it's a big list, to be honest, but we have, really, like shortened the introduction. Before I go to Dr. Mubashir, I want to ask if anybody here has, the background of PhD or research already. So just, out of curiosity, before we go to the main topic.
Yes, my name is Syed Mubashir, and I'm doing a PhD from WIT in my first year at the moment.
Very nice. I believe this is gonna be an interesting, session for you then, because the whole idea of this is that either those folks who already have decided to go for PhD, but they're not sure how to, get into the PhD, or the folks who are at the start of the PhD and they have many questions about, which might be coming in their career later on. I also know that, Faisal Ghaffar has joined us, who is also, PhD from the UCD, and Wasim Akhtar is like, of course, famous, like everybody know about, Wasim Akhtar. All right, thanks so much. So next, Mubashir, I want to ask you that, did you really choose the research field yourself, or it just happened to be, out of nowhere? And I mean, like, you had a plan from, beginning, or it was so just, you started and then you tend to like it afterwards?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, iPIP organizers, for giving me the opportunity to appear today. Well, as far as your question is concerned, when I was doing my undergraduate engineering degree, I was motivated to go abroad for higher studies and research. So at that time, I realized that I should move into the academia, and to survive in academia, we need to have some affiliation or some sort of interaction with the research. So that was my background and motivation to interact with research.
Sure, thanks very much. Yeah, and I know now you have got many publications and the research, and you're part of many, like like editorial boards. But before reaching to this point, I wonder if you can help us and the audience understand what were the challenges you had faced when you started in this the research field. And then maybe I will ask you that if you can also help us, what were the challenges, and then how did you overcome those challenges at the start, at least?
Belong to a middle class family, so the first challenge was to get a scholarship and go abroad. So I was fortunate that Higher Education Commission, Government of Pakistan, was so much helpful in that. And at my time, when I was graduated, there were few scholarship opportunities by the Government of Pakistan, and I have been applying to those. And fortunately, I received one of the scholarship from Higher Education Commission, Government of Pakistan, and then I went to France, where I did my master's as well as PhD. So the main hurdle was to go abroad, and that was one of the real challenge phase when I was doing research. There were some basic challenges that every PhD student or every researcher face. So I also faced the same difficulties. And when I passed out and received my PhD and went into the academia, then definitely there were some other challenges as well, including unethical sort of research practices and a lot of other things happening around the globe. So I observed those things, and I try to away from those things, and those things were a bit challenging because once you see that some people are progressing a lot and they are getting a lot, and there are a lot of temptation in doing wrong things, and you stop yourself and do not go for shortcuts and you focus on the quality work, then some challenges come because you are not progressing in the same pace as others are, progressing. So those were few of the challenges that I faced during my whole career.
Really glad to know that you face those challenges. And let me tell all the audience that Dr. Mubashir is currently serving as an editorial board member of Nature Scientific Reports. He is currently an area auditor of IEEE Communication Systems and Tutorials. He is also appointed as Associate Editor of IEEE Transactions on Green Communications and Networking. Currently, he serves as Associate Editor of IEEE Communication Magazine, Elsewhere Journal of Network and Computer Applications, and the Journal of Communication and Networks. He is also serving as Guest Editor of Elsewhere Ad Hoc Network Journal, Elsewhere Future Generation Computer System Journal, the IEEE Transactions on Industrial Informatics, and Elsewhere Pervasive and Mobile Computing Journal. So these are all the, obviously, he is member of all these prestigious editorial boards of these journals. Let me ask Dr. Mubashir, what if someone wants to pursue a PhD position in Ireland or anywhere in the globe? What are the global opportunities available for him or her around the globe, and how to apply for a PhD position in Ireland? Or please also elaborate if there is any special criteria which someone needs to fulfill.
Yes, sure. May I share my screen? I have prepared a few slides for that.
Sure,
Yes, please.
absolutely, please.
Think about PhD. We should never ever spend a single penny on the fees and on the stipend of PhD. We should try to get some scholarship, get some funding to do our PhD. So when we look at the total funding of PhD, just to give you a reference, let's say here, we are here in Ireland. So in Ireland, for a 4-year PhD program, they give 1,20,000 euros for 4-year duration. So if we convert this amount into Pakistani rupees, so it becomes around 2 crore 26 lakh Pakistani rupees. This is a huge amount. So one should never ever spend this amount for PhD. Now, as you can see, it's a huge amount, around more than 2 crore Pakistani rupees or 1,20,000 euros. So nobody can easily give you that amount. So you need to you need to distinguish from all the other students so that you can acquire this level of funding. Now, when we divide this funding, this huge amount into year, we get around 18,500 euros stipend annually. It means around 1,500 euros per month that you will get in terms of stipend. It will be the money that you can spend on yourself, on your accommodation, on your living expenses, and on your travel fare, etc. And it becomes, a huge amount. It's more than 3 lakh rupees, Pakistani rupees. So students, those students who are willing to pursue PhD, they can not only continue their PhD studies with this funding, but they can also save 40,000-50,000 rupees each month, and they can send back to their parents, or if there are any dependents. So it's not just only the continuation of your education, but you can also support your family if required. Now, besides this stipend, this PhD funding that we have normally in Ireland or within Europe or in other parts of the world, they also have the annual fees covered. So you don't need to worry about your annual fees, which is, you can see 10,000 euros or 10,000 pound, UK pound or US dollar in each and every university, more or less. You don't have to worry about your travel costs. Let's say you publish a conference paper and you want to go to Australia or Canada or US or any other part of the European Union. Your travel expenses as well as your living expenses, your all expenses for the duration of the conference will be covered by the PhD funding. Similarly, if you required any specific equipment to conduct your research, any GPUs or any other sensors or any other devices, depending upon the topic which you are conducting research, that equipment cost will also be covered by the PhD funding. Similarly, if you require any specific training, for example, any mathematical course or any other statistical course or any other training in terms of research, that training cost will also be covered in the PhD funding. So you can see it's a whole package and it's very prestigious. So acquiring this level of funding requires some extra effort. Now that extra effort doesn't mean that you should be, the topper, 4 out of 4 CGPA in your undergraduate. It means that you should know the skills to acquire this PhD funding, and those skills include a good and effective research proposal, a clear motivation letter, and some other tips. Now, if we look at scholarship opportunities around the globe, we have the FL Excellence Program. It is there in France, and there is another scholarship opportunity managed by INRIA. INRIA is a computer science research institute of France. It's a very prestigious institute, and each year they offer around 100 PhD scholarships in different topics. Similarly, when you go to Germany, there's a scholarship, DAG scholarship. That's again a very prestigious scholarship, PhD opportunity. And you have, Erasmus scholarship, which is managed by the EU. So these are few of the scholarships that one can find around the globe. Moreover, when you look at Australia is a whole continent, and there are plenty of scholarships available, not only managed by the Australian universities, but also by the Australian government. And British Council and US also offer a few scholarships as well. Now, going back to Ireland, when we look at in Ireland, there are few specific MS, PhD, and postdoc scholarships available. For example, each year, the Government of Ireland International Education Scholarship is announced. And this is again a very prestigious, very competitive scholarship. And each year they give around 60 scholarships. And these scholarships are open to the international community. Then we have the SFI Industry R&D Fellowship Program. And each year again, this program announces. So I just mentioned the link of this scholarship. And as part of this scholarship, you are working in the industry, and you also join yourself with the academia. And in this manner, you can work simultaneously in the industry as well as towards your PhD completion. Similarly, we have Irish Research Council (IRC) funding. This funding is again very prestigious, and they have undergraduate, postgraduate, and postdoctorate scholarship opportunities. Now, besides these scholarships in Ireland, we have a whole spectrum of Institute of Technologies and technological universities and universities in Ireland. So around there are 8 universities, 14 Institute of Technologies, and several other higher education institutes. And some of these educational institutes and universities are very prestigious and renowned around the globe. So each of these universities have their own PhD funding opportunities as well. For example, Waterford Institute of Technology, they have their own PhD funding track as well. Similarly, UCC, TCD. So each of these universities have their own funding as well. So this was just a short introduction about few of the scholarship opportunities that I wanted to share with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mubashir. As you mentioned earlier that you have decided when you're doing your graduation that you will go to academia instead of going to industry. Tell the audience how early in student life one should start preparing for a PhD, or should decide that he should go to academia or industry.
Okay. So, of the researchers and scientists who take interviews for the PhD induction, basically they look initially the performance of the students in their undergraduate or master's program. So let's say if a student is not performing well in the undergraduate studies, it means the selection panel will not be too much convinced. So my suggestion to all the students who are pursuing their undergraduate studies, they should focus on their own studies, and they should try to excel in the courses that they are taking. For example, if someone is doing a bachelor's in computer science, then they should focus on programming languages, databases, and other modules that they are learning during their undergraduate studies. And once they finish their undergraduate studies, or if they find some extra time during the vacations, then they start building their skills on the trending topics of research. So one should not start thinking about research during his or her undergraduate studies if he or she has difficulty in getting good marks in the undergraduate studies. Now, after the undergraduate studies, sometimes we have a few months before we embark on our career. So in that duration, instead of wasting the time, the students can acquire some knowledge about some trending technologies in research. They can learn LaTeX. They can understand how to write a effective research proposal, and then they start working on different English language certifications like IELTS or TOEFL, so that they equip themselves with all these skills, and then once they start applying, they will hopefully they will not face any difficulty. So your one part of your question was, when should one should go for academia and industry? Well, if you want to join academia, so surviving in academia is related with the doctoral degree. So even in Pakistan, you cannot become a professor until and unless you have a PhD degree. So if you want to join academia around the globe, so PhD is one direction where you can go. Now, PhD is not only just dependent upon the academia, even in industry. For example, if you are planning to join Google, Microsoft, IBM, Dell, or other companies, they have their dedicated R&D R&Ds, and one can also join the industry as well after doing the PhD.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think it's a lot of insights. Thanks to you, Dr. Mubashir. On the same topic of academia and industry, because myself, I had some time spent in the research institutes. So Ihsan also had some exposure to the research before he came to the industry. So to my understanding, there are different types of research institutes. Some are like INRIA, for example. I was in INRIA, and that was semi-government type of research institute, and but their main focus was to have applied research, where they always look for like incubation into the startups and all those things. Some institutes are pure private, like Digital Enterprise, like the research institute in Galway, at least I know. But some are academia research, like in colleges or universities. So can you help us understand what's the difference, and if a person has to choose the PhD, if he has to apply for PhDs, or has the option to choose between the two if he has offers? So which one would be better for him? The pure university kind of environment, research, versus the private research institutes?
To understand what is the scope of research. So basically, when we talk about research, research may have a direct impact within the next few years. Research may have an impact, some short-term impact, some middle-term impact, like after 10 or 15 years. And there is some research for which we can see the impact after 40, 50 years, or even after 100 years. So we can classify the impact of research into these durations. Now, when we talk about doing PhD after associating with the industry or applied research, so basically they are targeting the problems that the industry or that the society currently facing. So their goal is to solve those problems that we can foresee in the next few years. So that is a completely good approach. There is no issue in that. Similarly, there are some institutes or R&Ds or some universities, they are targeting for problems, research problems that are in the middle of the duration, for example, after 15 years or 20 years. And that research requires some, some sort of skills or impact that we can see after 15 to 20 years. And there is a research that is pure theoretical, and the impact cannot be seen immediately. So all these three types of research and their association with the industry is completely fine. Typically, industry focuses on short-term, research. They want to see the output. However, some research institutes or some research organizations or companies like Google or IBM or Microsoft, they also have dedicated researchers who are focusing on the main research problems where they have an impact which can be seen after 10 years, 20 years, or after 50 years. So it totally depends upon the person itself. If you are more inclined towards applied research, it is good to go for PhD in collaboration with industry. If you are more, if you don't have that much interest in the applied setting, you may go for the academia setting. So every type of research is fine until and unless you do some good work in that area.
So, Dr. Mubashir, this could be a hard decision or sometimes very delicate decision to go either on that track, industry-based research, or the academia. And at the same time, this is also happens, I think I would say frequently, that when you start PhD or when you apply for a PhD to write a proposal or write a synopsis, we will, let me tell the audience that we will have a different detailed session that how to pursue or how to write a PhD proposal. But my question is that is it good and easy to change PhD topic, because it happens frequently. It happened to myself as well. To change the PhD topic when you start PhD or when you at some certain stage or when you do your literature review and then you come up with another idea that this might be a good for my PhD, and you talk with your supervisor. So what is the prospects in this, and how easy it is to change?
For a researcher or for a PhD student, when he or she spend few months on the literature review, then they start thinking, understanding that topic, and then suddenly they read a new article or they delve into a new topic, and that topic makes them more interesting. And this this is very important to keep stick yourself to the topic. If you keep moving to topics and jumping on topics, you will not have the depth required. So the responsibility of the supervisor is to help guide those PhD students that do not switch the topics too frequently. If you are working in one particular domain, let's say on cloud computing or on microservices, so just stick to that. Do not change your topic. Maybe you can change little bit on the subtopics within the microservices, but do not change completely the main topic, because you need to again start your literature review from the very scratch, and this will waste the time. All the topics are fine, so just focus, make a hard decision to stick to that topic, and then try to complete your PhD. Try to go into the depth of that topic so that you know how to conduct research. So the purpose of PhD is to help students to learn how to conduct research. Now, once you get the PhD, it means you get a certificate that you can now conduct research. Now, after completing the PhD, you have your whole life. You can work on any topic in which you want to work. But during the PhD, make a hard decision. Do not change your topic too much frequently. Otherwise, you will not have a very strong PhD.
Thank you very much. Before going to the next question, let me tell a little more introduction about Dr. Mubashir. Dr. Mubashir has authored or edited total 8 books. He received the Certificate of Appreciation, Exemplary Editor of IEEE Communication Surveys and Tutorials for the year 2015 from the IEEE Communication Society. He also received Best Paper Award from IEEE ComSoc Technical Committee on Communication Systems, Integration and Modeling in IEEE ICC 2017. He consecutively received Research Productivity Award in 2016-17 and also ranked #1 in all engineering disciplines from Pakistan Council for Science and Technology, Government of Pakistan. He received Best Paper Award in 2017 from Higher Education Commission, Government of Pakistan. He is the recipient of Best Paper Award in 2018 from Elsewhere Journal of Network and Computer Applications. He has been selected for inclusion on the annual Highly Cited Researchers 2020 and 2021 list from Clarivate. His performance in this context features in the top 1% in the field of computer science. So, keeping in these very excellent achievements in research, let me ask a question. To be a good researcher or to become excellent in research, is PhD a must?
No, PhD is not a must, but PhD, if you look at great researchers and inventors, some of them didn't have the PhD. But in the recent scientific community, PhD can be considered as a tool or a formal degree that helps students to learn how to conduct research. If someone does not have the PhD degree, they can even after bachelor's, after master's, they can conduct the research, and there is no issue in that. But when you complete your PhD, you can have a license to conduct research, some sort of license, and a systematic scientific way of formulating the research problem, a systematic way of writing the research article, and as you understand how to argue with in the scientific community to justify the novelty of your idea or justify your contribution. So it's just a formal requirement, but there is no 100% restriction that if someone has not the PhD, he or she cannot conduct research. There are a lot of examples where people are conducting research, very good research, without even having a PhD.
Excuse me. Okay, keeping in view these your achievements and obviously about your question that PhD is not a must. In that sense, what would be the key parameters or indicators that we can say this person is a good researcher?
So the scientific community knows who are the good researchers and who are not performing well, and there are some well standard international parameters. So first, for example, when we talk about natural sciences or physical sciences, we have international standards. For example, the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize is being awarded to those persons who done extraordinary, remarkable research. That is the top level. So those who receive that award, it means they are doing some excellent job in research. Similarly, there are some field medals in different disciplines. In mathematics, there are different awards and certificates, and in computer science we have Turing Award, and in all the sciences we have the list of highly cited researchers, those researchers whose research has been recognized internationally. Similarly, from the perspective of ACM, from the perspective of IEEE, we have the fellowship. So those who have achieved IEEE fellowship or ACM fellowship or the fellowship of the Royal Society, they are considered very well known and prestigious in terms of their scientific contribution. Similarly, when you are working in a particular domain and when you start reading about the contributions of a particular researcher or scientist, then you yourself try to classify the work of that particular researcher. So these are few of the criteria on the basis of which we can say that these are the good researchers.
Thanks so much. I just have seen, Nawaz has joined us. So I want to say thanks, Nawaz, for joining, and also for helping me last night to help me on integration of Zoom link and Facebook. I really appreciate. Now coming back to Dr. Mubashir, now a lot of people ask us this question when they start PhD, that about the postdoc. So now some graduates after PhD, they pursue just another research job, or they go back to the university, and some actually pursue officially the postdoc. So what is postdoc, and what is the significance of doing a postdoc versus not doing a postdoc but still pursuing a research career?
So postdoctorate or postdoc, in simple words, helps you to further refine your research skills, and it also helps you to include diversity in your research or exposure to your research. So after doing a PhD, one should one should join the academy or industry, whatever area they want to pursue. But sometimes, due to the congestion in the industry or in the academia, job issues, they cannot get the permanent job. So after PhD, the main goal of a researcher or PhD student after completing the PhD to get a permanent job. So getting permanent job is too much difficult these days. So what they do, they try to get some contract jobs or some contract research positions. So those contract jobs or those positions, if they are relevant to research, they are known as postdoctorate. So that can be considered like that. Similarly, for example, if someone has completed a PhD from France and they want to understand, or get exposure from US or Canada, so instead of directly joining the academia, they try to join a lab or an university in US or Canada, so that they can understand how research can be done in those countries as well. And after spending 1 year or 2 years, once they understand and refine their research skills further, they can then join the permanent job. So we can say that postdoctorate is a transition period of a PhD student from PhD to the permanent job.
Got it. Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm just looking at the chat. There are a few questions coming. I think Arsalan, thanks for the question. This will need a bit of time, and actually we want Dr. Mubashir to really help if possible. So let's keep it for the end. If you can stay for a while with us, and I'll go to the questions from Dr. Wasim Akhtar and Faisal. I think they will need less time to answer. So Wasim Akhtar is asking about the significance of academic writing. What is the importance of this, and if like if someone is not good, then how it can impact.
The key, you can communicate your ideas, your thoughts, your innovations in terms of writing, and within the scientific community, scientific writing plays an important role, and the contribution of a scientist or researcher can be judged through his or her scientific writing. For example, we just faced a pandemic, and we were, the whole world was locked down, and fortunately we have the COVID-19 vaccine. So these COVID-19 vaccines, whether it's Pfizer BioNTech or Oxford AstraZeneca or other vaccines, they were not just released at masses. Initially, scientists and researchers, they conducted research and they came up with the solution in terms of vaccination, and those vaccination results were reported in journals, and those journals are the example of scientific writing. So those two publications of the Pfizer BioNTech and Oxford AstraZeneca, they were published in the Lancet journal and the Nature journal. And when you look at the journal articles of both of these vaccines, you will understand that all the scientific research, all the exploration, investigation, everything, they are reported in terms of scientific articles, and scientific articles play a key role in the career of a researcher or scientist. Now, how one can improve? Well, there is a saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if we read low-level scientific journals or conferences, definitely our capacity will not be developed. So what we need to do, first we need to identify what are the top quality journals and science and conferences in our domain. If we are working in computer science, let's say in cloud computing or in artificial intelligence or in image processing, we first need to identify what are the top quality journals in that particular domain or conferences, and then we start reading those. When we start reading, top quality material, this will not only increase our capacity in terms of writing, but it will also help us to come up with new ideas. And the last thing is practice. The more you write, the more it will be beneficial for you in terms of your scientific writing.
Quality, research material, and to practice, I think like it's the key to the success for the technical. Here I want to take a pause and I want to share my experience of my career that I learned late, but then I learned that it's not only the research area. Even in the industry, if you are a developer, IT tester, or anybody, once you start growing in your ladder, even in the industry, how you write is very, very important. It has got a big percentage to your success. As an example, if your one pager write up or two pager write up can change the direction of the whole department, how they gonna move forward in the future. So just your two-page document can change the direction of the whole company. It all depends what you bring in that 2 or 3 page document. So writing and convey your idea in the form of a draft is a key. And a lot of people I meet who are starting these days, so somehow they are not taking practicing the writing skills as serious as they should. So I really suggest that no matter if you are in the industry or in the research, so try to practice your writing, and so keep it at higher priority to improve. With this, let's go to the next question. So Faisal is asking, Dr. Faisal is asking how to seek collaboration for publications if you are an independent researcher. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mubashir?
Yes. So basically, first we need to understand the motivation of our collaboration. If our motivation of collaboration is to learn, and of course the motivation is to learn, to get the feedback from other professors and researchers, then we should proceed with that. Now if we talk about good researchers or experienced researchers or scientists, they do not accept very easily the collaboration opportunities or invitations. Their goal is not to publish a lot of material. What they want is to train people so that they can conduct some excellent research. Now first, before starting collaboration with anyone or asking to collaborate with anyone, first you need to understand whether that group or that researcher or professor, they are considered as prestigious or reputed in the scientific community. And this can be easily known by looking at their co-authors or their publication plans or where they are publishing. And once you identify good researchers, then what you need to do, you also need to show your intention that you are not just going to collaborate with them for the sake of publication. You want to learn the skills from them. For example, when you attended a conference and you research a very prestigious researcher or scientist, you can have interaction with them, and you can first initialize your contact with them, and then later on you can not directly start a very long project. You can start with a short article, a letters article, or any conference paper, and then instead of just asking them to include their name, try to learn that thing, and this may take years. Okay, when you learn skills from them, they will have confidence with you, and then you can lay down a very strong foundation with that researcher, and later on you can start collaborating with their groups. You can visit their labs. So this is the first step. First you need to identify to whom you need to collaborate, and that collaborators need to be in good reputation. And you can start with a small project and focus on the quality work.
Sure, thanks so much. On the same line, so Faisal is asking about the editorial boards, that what they look into. So they look into, which KPIs when selecting the fellowships or editors.
So it totally depends upon the publisher. We have different publishers. We have IEEE, we have ACM, we have Nature, we have Springer, and there are numerous publishers. Now, each of these publishers have their own criteria. For example, if you are targeting IEEE, so IEEE has a major role in information and communication technology. So they have different categories of the journals. One of their prestigious journals are known as transactions. So transactions are those journals which are the top class journals, and getting an editorial position is extremely difficult in transactions. Now, there are different ways to acquire that. First, you need to have some editorial experience. So that editorial experience will explain to the editorial board or to the editor-in-chief that you know how the scientific publication process works and how the review process works, and you know all the ups and downs of this area. So the initial thing is you need to have some prior editorial experience, and you can acquire that editorial experience by doing some special issues, by conducting some guest editorials, writing some guest editorials. In this manner, you will have some, special issue experience, some editorial experience, and then there are technical committees available, and you become the part of those technical committees. And then IEEE regularly announces the positions. They announce the position, for example, for editor-in-chief, for associate editors, and for AD editors, and you apply to those positions, and then there is a board who sit and then they appoint you. So that is one way. Another way is that the editorial team, the editor-in-chief, himself or herself will contact you because of your, of your technical work, because of your reputation, because of your ethical practices. So that second thing, shows that you are competent enough, you are well known in the scientific community. So when you do some technical work, well recognized work, and in the international community, they themselves contact you to become the part of the editorial board. So the key line is to focus on quality work, and you will then acquire those positions offered by different publishers.
All right. Thanks so much, Mubashir. There are some more questions coming, but let's move on our primary agenda, and then we will come back to the questions again. Of course, we will answer those questions. Now, some of the folks ask us so who are going to start PhD or just at the first year of the PhD, they're always thinking that what the daily life of a researcher who is after the PhD may look like, or actually after even if you're like kind of third or fourth year of PhD as well. So what kind of life it is it only to read the research papers and write the papers, or is it more engaging? Is it more like the scope is bigger than that?
Yes, so the life of a researcher is like the life of other people as well. A good researcher, come up with fresh ideas, innovative ideas, and for that, he or she should have, some fresh breath. And in order to have some fresh breath, they should, go for hiking, go for traveling, and engage with the family members and friends. So all these activities should be there. Then and only then, a researcher will have, more productivity. So typically, the life of researcher goes from 9 to 5, where they can conduct some research in the lab or in the university, and also involved in teaching. But this is the traditional lifetime of a researcher. But if you want to compete internationally, then of course you need to put some extra effort, and that extra effort will require some sacrifice. For example, if you want to compete with international researchers around the globe, then you need to see what are their habits, what are their activities in the research, how they are that much productive. So you will soon realize that they do not waste their time. They get up early in the morning, and then they start directly focus on their work, their research, or their academic activities, and they don't invest too much time on social media activities or some other activities. Instead, they focus on their work. Similarly, they try to spend each and every minute with very care. So spending time with carefulness gives you a lot of productivity, and those researchers who give too much productivity and they are very well internationally recognized, it doesn't mean that they don't sleep or they don't interact with the family or they don't go outside. They do everything. It's just they make their time useful.
Sure. Like in short, if I like understand correctly, just to summarize for the audience. So the life of the PhD student or the postdoc or afterwards is not only about reading the publications. It is anything you can think of, teaching, like some students doing collaboration with some kind of like projects outside of your scope, like outside of the institute. It may be the industrial projects or academic projects. You might be presenting, you might be part of the committee. Now let's go back to some questions. Folks are really asking some interesting questions. Tahir is asking that he is doing masters. My question is, does publishing more papers in masters will help me in getting PhD scholarship?
No. Publication count doesn't matter. The thing that counts is the skills that you learn during the masters. And even if you don't have a single publication in masters, but you know what you have done during the masters, and that will be reflected when you give your interview to the committee. That plays an important role. So publication doesn't count too much publication. Now, if you just go for a single publication in a good venue, in a good conference, or in a good journal, in a master's, then that will be excellent. So don't go for a lot of publications during the master's degree. It doesn't matter.
Sure. So then so going back to your earlier suggestion, when you are doing undergrad or if you're doing the masters. So Mubashir, you said that if so first of all, focus on that study, like to excel on the thing you're doing instead of taking up more scope, right? Yeah. Okay. So now Tahir and Umair are asking about doing a PhD in parallel to job. I think here maybe you can comment on this, Mubashir, and if like anybody in the audience if has experience or has observed in the surrounding doing this PhD and job, maybe can comment as well.
Yes, one can do a PhD while continuing his or her job, and even the scholarship, one of the scholarship opportunity that I shared earlier, that is Government of Ireland Industry Academia Research Funding, that is based on this idea that the PhD student will be doing his or her job, and then he or she will be engaged in the research as well. So one can do a PhD while doing the job, but definitely the time spent will be increased, will be double for the PhD.
Yeah, I would say it also depends on the nature of the job, right? And your family, time and a lot of factors. It's not only that one. So it depends on many factors, how much time you have to give in family or some other activities in your life versus PhD and job. But I must say that, I know some of the folks, it's not easy if you're doing a full-time job and then a PhD it is difficult.
Yeah, I can give. Sorry, I can give my experience. So, yeah, definitely you can do the PhD with the full-time job, but having completing that after 4 years, 4.5 years, I would suggest not to do it. so you can do it, but you won't be excellent in both. So in either of them. So if you do one by one in sequence, you might be able to get really excellent papers at excellent a job in both sides. But if you do in parallel, then it's like you're doing, your performance is 50%, like, and that's the limitation of human mind. So, but definitely you can do it. If anyone wants to do it with the project, with the PhD, with the full-time work, just find the project which really aligns your PhD topic. Sorry, my throat is bad. So.
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Faisal. Tahir also asked, sorry, I missed earlier. So Tahir, you are asking that what if we don't find advisor in our prospect area? Or maybe you're trying to say how to find a good advisor for your PhD, right?
Yes. So sometimes, when you contact any supervisor, they don't respond to you. So you just keep try applying to different professors, because they have their own capacity to handle the request of the PhD. So don't give up. Just keep continue focusing on different universities, finding different research labs, and try to identify researchers and professors working in the area and try to contact them. And hopefully you will get a reply.
Yeah, so just to add on that, I would say in any field, industry, or in the PhD, make sure that it is always possible to break the relationship and then move on or change your supervisor or manager or anybody. Just make sure that how you will move on, how you will communicate that, how you will transfer from one like advisor to the other, because that is the most important thing. Make sure like this, so if the field of computer science or cybersecurity gonna be very small and everybody is connected, so it's always okay to change, but just make sure that you are making a very nice transition with the good remarks in the background. Ihsan, do you have any question just before I take up more?
No, thank you very much. I really like this session and like the opportunity to speak and get very important tips from Dr. Mubashir Rehmani. We all ICT professionals and researchers, Dr. Mubashir is an inspiration for all of us. So thank you very much, Dr. Mubashir, and thank you very much all the other participants who join us and who are watching us on Facebook Live. Thank you.
Yeah, I had just one more question. I got earlier is what's the difference of a journal publication and conference publication, and what is the right balance in spending the efforts across the two?
So scientific publications have different areas to cover. For example, books are there. Then books have their types, textbooks or edited books. Then you have letters. Then you have magazine articles. Then you have journal articles. You have transaction articles. You have conference papers. So all these are the different types of scientific publication. Now, if someone is doing a PhD, then the focus should be initially on a conference paper, and then once you have a conference paper, it means that your work has been peer reviewed by the scientific community, and then you can extend that work and publish it with more contribution as a journal publication. And now, in some domains of computer science, conferences are more in that domain, and in some domains, journals have their own prestige. So depending upon in which area you are working within computer science or within any other area, it will dictate you. For example, if you are working in telecommunications or computer networks, then there are some very good journals as well as some good conferences as well. So you will make a balance between both. Now, from a perspective of a researcher publish in every aspect, scientific aspect, ranging from magazine articles to transactions to journal articles to conferences, depending upon the available resources of the students, postdocs, and the funding. So, but typically, the more prestigious are journal publications. So the more journal publications you have, it means you are more prestigious if they are published in a good venue.
Sure. Thanks very much. Yeah. Okay. So, from my point of view and Ehsan, I think we have covered all the areas that we wanted to, or we got, prior to the session. Now we just go to the questions which are pending. So Arsalan has, had asked earlier that he's preparing for masters in Ireland, and will he be able to get into PhD now or not? So probably, maybe Arslan, if you want to clarify your question so that Dr. Mubashir can guide you better now. Arslan.
Assalamualaikum, sir. I guess I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. So, are you doing the masters right now, or you are going to start masters? To understand.
Sir, going to start master.
Okay. So then your question is that how you can do your masters so that after masters you can start PhD. Is that your question or?